not that well, right? I mean, maybe you see my team wrestle, but you don't know me very well. You don't follow me around on a daily basis. You don't know what I do on my phone or what I do in my office, or you don't know the type of husband I am or the type of father I am. You kind of have a good idea that I can coach pretty well because my team does well. But other than that, you don't know much about me. And other than the fact that I know that you guys all like wrestling, you're going to give a weekend up to the sport, and hopefully many more. I know you like wrestling. But here's the thing. What I will not do to you, I knew we had 6 hours to work with you, and Joey and I knew we had 6 hours, so we put a plan together to make sure that the things we showed you were the things that are the most important for your growth in the sport. So what I'm not going to do is lie to you. I'm only going to share to you what I believe. That's all I'm going to do. So what I share with you, so if you're in the midst of what I'm saying, so don't miss this. If you miss some of the technique, you wander a little bit. All right, you can't get that time back. If you start to get a little tired, stand up, do jumping jacks. Don't miss what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying now, in my opinion, is far more important than what I said until this time. And what I said until this time is important as well. So I'm just going to share truth with you. Just truth. I'll walk. I'm 49 years old now, the walk I've had in this life. And here's what I know. I know this. I want you to think about your priceless. I want you to, right now, I want you to think about what is absolutely priceless to you. Here's the definition of priceless. This is the Webster's definition of priceless. So precious that its value cannot be determined. What in your life is so precious to you, so precious that you can't put a price tag on it? What are those things in your life? And your life, if whatever your priceless is, and maybe it's going to change after today. Maybe you're going to leave here and you're going to say, you know what, some things, I've really never thought about that. Some things I thought my priceless shouldn't be. Why is that my priceless? And here's the thing. If I taped your mouth shut and you couldn't talk and all I could do was follow you around, I would learn what your priceless is. Because what you're pouring your soul into is your priceless. Here's the thing, at your age, I was your age. I really thought I would live forever. I thought, man, I'm young and life's going to go on. It's not. Right? We've only got so much time here. So I'm asking you now to think about it. I'm going to give you a few seconds. What would you say is your priceless? And if I followed you around for a week, a day, would they be in alignment? So for me, there's no question that if you asked me in 9th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, freshman in college, I would say that my priceless was being the best wrestler in the country. And that's okay. Wrestling was my God. That was my priceless. So precious, its value couldn't be determined. I wanted to win the national so bad, the state so bad, I put so much time into it. And I understood this. Through the process of this, I understood this. Chosen suffering. Chosen suffering. Chosen suffering makes sense to all of us. Think about chosen suffering. Chosen, listen, the word suffering, I said it when I was teaching you. Suffering, sacrifice, love. I will suffer and sacrifice the things I love the most. If someone entered a room and was attacking one of my children, I would gladly jump in front of any weapon, any bullet, anything to save them. Take me, not them. I would sacrifice for them. I would suffer for them. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my children. Right? What are those things? Sacrifice, suffering, love all mean the same thing. And for me, I connected at a young age suffering, sacrifice, love, hard work, with things going well in my life. The things I sacrificed the most for went the best. You with me? It's called chosen suffering. I lived that way for a long time. For 36 years, a lot of the things I learned in my life were through chosen suffering. I mean, I lost in the state semifinals. I got hurt as a senior. It was heartbreaking. First round of the states, I completely tore the ligaments in my ankle. I was fourth, I was third, I was favored to win, got hurt, was out. I went to college on a full scholarship at Syracuse. Was there for 2 years, and I realized, you know what, I'm just not suffering enough. I need to be around people that can really cause me more discomfort. You understand?
Yep.
Yes. You with me? I need to be challenged more, so I packed my car and I drove to the University of Iowa. And I wrestled for Coach Gable. It changed my life. I suffered so much there. But I loved it. It didn't matter. I got beat so badly so many times in the room. I cried a lot, but I loved it. I connected suffering to success. Right? It didn't guarantee me anything, but it gave me my best chance, yeah? I mean, you can all train hard and anybody you weight and master the sport, and something can go wrong. So we don't promise titles at Ohio State. I don't promise anything like that. I just promise this, and the more you sacrifice and the more you live a clean life, the better chance you have of attaining the things you want in this life. And it's worth it. It's worth it. You got a lot more out of today than you would if you sat on the couch and had potato chips and watched Netflix. You got better today. You all improved. Connecting that is important. So here's the deal. For 36 years, I lived that way. 36 years. That chosen suffering was the way. Life was going great. I was the head coach at Hofstra. I'm from Long Island. Do you know where Hofstra is? It's just down Long Island in New York. It's a small Division I school. We were doing really well. Had a lot of good guys on my team. The team was going great. I was married with 4 kids. I was totally happy. Things were great. And I was living with the understanding that chosen suffering was the way. The harder I worked, the better my team would do. And then unchosen suffering showed its face. Unchosen. I wanted no part of it. You know, in wrestling, we what? We control everything. It's my will. I'm going to will myself to it. I'm going to run more. I'm going to lift more. I'm going to drill more. And I'm going to will myself to it. And then there are things in life, and I don't care how much you will yourself to, you can't control it. And again, I don't know any of you personally, but I can't imagine at some point in your life, you haven't already experienced something outside your control that you wish you could change, but you just can't. I don't know your family situation. I don't know if dad left, if mom's sick, if your brother's dealing with an illness. I don't know any of that. I don't know what you're going through. But I know that for me, I went through something that took me to the darkest place I could ever imagine. It took me to a place so dark that I would have said that I would never experience joy again. That I would never laugh again. I thought I would never laugh again. I was in so much pain, so much heartache. I was in such despair. I was so low. And you know what? Wrestling didn't really help me. To be honest with you, wrestling and the training in wrestling, it wasn't something that helped me. So I'm 36 years old and life is great. I got 2 cars, I got a house, got a pool, I got air conditioning in my house. Did anybody here grow up without air conditioning? How about you? Yeah. So for you guys, air conditioning, it wasn't always air conditioning? There was no air conditioning. It was hot out, and we had what was called window fans. Who had a window fan? Parents. See, a window fan, does anybody know what it is? It's a fan that sits in the window. That's all it is. And it blows whatever the temperature is outside, inside. If it's 80 out, you're getting hot air. And I laid in my bed, that's the way it was. So my wife and I bought a house with air conditioning. We toasted. We were living big. We had a pool. We swam in the pool together. 4 kids, great life. Life's going great. My job's going well. I'm fulfilled. February 16, 2004. Does anybody know what happened in my life on February 16, 2004? It was President's Day. It was Monday. I went to work with my 4 kids. 11, Jordan, my oldest son. Jake, 9, my second oldest son. T, 5, my third oldest son. And Mackenzie, 3, my daughter. We went to the restroom. We played all day. What's the best thing about President's Day?
No school.
No school. So they had no school, so I gave my wife a break. I took the kids. We played, we laughed, we had fun. We jump in the car on the way home. About 5:30 at night, practice ended. My team had practice. We jump in the car, we're driving home, 45 minutes. What a great night. I'm going to tell you what your parents will remember the most about raising you. The times they spent with you. Those are the best moments your parents will have on earth. I've experienced a lot of amazing things. I watched Joe win the US Open. It's amazing. So happy for him. He worked so hard. Watch Kyle win the Olympics. My teams have done well. Amazing. But I tell you what, the times with our little guys, there's something about it. So, I'm 36, I'm on my way home. We had a long day in the wrestling room, a great day. We get home at about 6 o'clock at night. About a 30-minute ride. 6 o'clock at night, we walk in the house. I'm not telling you anything that's not true. I had a meeting that night with the Hofstra Pride Club. And they wanted to know what I wanted to do with some of the resources we're bringing in. I called the head of the Pride Club and I said, listen, I had a long day. I'd really rather stay home with the family. Dinner's on the table. Do you mind? No. What do you want to do? Boom. Here's what I want to do. We got you. Thanks, Coach. I'm at the dinner table, 4 kids, wife. We're laughing. We're laughing. Telling stories about the day. We played running bases. We wrestled. We played tag. And we just enjoyed each other. Teague was 5. He was at the dinner table. He was healthy. He could do 10 pull-ups. He had really quick feet. Jake didn't have such quick feet. Jake's feet were heavy. She said, Coach, you notice these things when they're little. He loved to wrestle Teague. Teague wrestled Jake. Jake was a small 9. Teague was a big 5. Teague thought he was the toughest man in the world other than Jake. Jake could crush Teague. And Teague did not want to shower first, but we decided Teague would shower. So Teague got up from the table and was pissed. And he starts running around the house. And my wife starts chasing. We're laughing. Get him, get him. This is the life I was living. Completely blessed. And she's chasing him around the house. And he's running. And he thinks she is behind him. But she's in front of him. And I'm watching from the table. And as he runs by her, she picks him up. The dog started to jump up at him. And I'm telling you, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was 14 years ago. That something overwhelmed me when she picked him up. Something moved in me that I'd never experienced before. And she carried him to the back of the house, and me and the kids were still talking, Jordan, Jake, and Mackenzie, and she started screaming. So I ran to the back of the house, and I grabbed Teague. And every time I tell this, it hurts. Because it opens the wound. But I tell it in hopes that somebody gets something from it that they can use. That's why. So I run to the back of the house and I grab him and I notice his eyes are rolled back in his head and he's not breathing and he has no pulse. So I put him on the coffee table in the center of the living room area. My wife calls 911 and my 3 children are watching me work on him. And they want their dad to wake him up. And I'm trying. And I'm pumping and I'm breathing. And he wouldn't wake up. It took the ambulance 14 minutes to get to their house. They were 1 mile away. And the guy, the two EMTs were wonderful men, wonderful people. I saw them pull up to my house and they were walking up my front step. And I was mad they were walking. I needed them to run. But how many things do we take for granted? I'm going to live forever. Here's one guarantee that I believe. I believe that there's no way in heck that any of my children would go before me. That was a guarantee I had. Listen, there's only one guarantee in this life, and what is it? Yeah. You will not be here forever. God willing, you'll be here to see your children's children's children, and you'll be healthy and mindful the whole way through it. God willing. The likelihood of that is not good. There are more kids dying that are in high school than any state in America. They're ODing on what's called opioids. Because these nut jobs are putting synthetic drugs in them and making money on it. And they're selling them, synthetic, man-made chemicals. And if you want to smoke a joint, or you want to take a pill, that someone gave you and you don't know where it's from, you're playing Russian roulette. That's what you're doing. Because when they mix this batch of synthetic poison and they mix it in with the pot or the little pills, they're hoping was mixed perfectly so that everybody gets a little high that takes it. Because people are chasing fool's gold every day in this life. I just want to experience this for a little bit. Well, sometimes the batch isn't mixed so evenly. And 1/3 of the pill has synthetic in it. And you take it and you're dead. 1/3 of the batch doesn't work at all. You take it, you feel nothing. And 1/3 hits you right where you wanted to be. A little bit loopy and feeling good. Short term. The world wants you, fool's gold. So I'm pumping on his chest and I'm breathing in his mouth. And I want him to live. And these guys come walking up to my doorstep and I screamed at them, "Where were you?" And now they do some tests on Teague and they pick him up, they run him into the ambulance. My wife and I jump in the car. A neighbor came to watch our 3 kids and we followed this ambulance to the hospital. This is my life. 14 years ago, I'm in the midst of this night. And we're following the ambulance and I can see them through the windows working. I can see them working on them. And 2 things happen. What do you think happened? My wife's to my right. The first thing was I called my brother. A great example, a great friend. I said, "Frank, something happened to Teague. Here's the hospital we're going to. Can you get the family there?" And the second thing that happened is my wife and I began to pray. See, I needed God right now. I hadn't needed Him much for a long time. But I needed Him now, and we started to pray. And we get to the hospital, and the unthinkable can't be happening. So we get to the hospital, the whole family's there, and we're waiting, like 90 minutes go by, and the surgeon comes out, and he tells my wife and I that he's sorry. That he's sorry. Listen, sorry wasn't an option. So my wife and I have to get in the car and drive home, and guess who's home? Yeah. Jordan, 11, Jake, 9, Mackenzie, 2, and they're waiting. Now here's where you guys are when you were little, and maybe some of you still are. When you were little and Dad came in the door after work, where were you? You were right at the door, man. Dad's home. Daddy's home. So we pull into the driveway, and guess where my kids are? Not only with the front door, they were out the front door, they were waiting at the car door when I opened it. And they wanted to know what? Jake was only 9. Listen, the single greatest gift you have in your life is the gift of common sense. Applied common sense will take you really far no matter what field you're in. I use common sense in wrestling. I use common sense in recruiting. Common sense. So this 9-year-old kid comes down and what does he ask me? I get out of the door, step out the door of my car, there he is, right there. Remember like it was yesterday. What did he ask me? He said that. He said, "Where's T?" He used common sense. He wants to know where his brother is. You want a pathetic answer? I was 36. I was leading people. My answer was, I couldn't answer. I didn't know where he was. I did not know where he was. All I knew was that my family dinners would be forever changed, and my life was forever changed. But I tell you what,